Well, okay, is it started?
Yes.
All right, let's keep going. Oh, jeez. It's okay. And that thing is recording now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, how have you interacted with the students now?
Good. I mean, like I say, I think you run, and this has been true since the minute we started the GSA at the school. Some kids that might be homophobic or whatever, the fact that you're associated with the GSA, they immediately, think differently. But again, that's such a minority of kids in this school. I don't think I mean, when we first started the GSA, kids were like, "You do what? We have a club for what?" And I'd explain it, but that was 5 years ago, and now it's no big deal. I think it's the same as, let's put it this way, when kids found out I want to start a Doctor Who club, I think that's been a bigger shock. There's going to be a club for geeks? Yes, a club for geeks. So, yeah, no, I don't think that one's a big deal, really.
Okay.
Yes.
I ran out of questions.
You ran out of questions?
Yes, I did.
Give me a break. Give me that.
I can ask questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so how do you and your wife deal with this?
Me running the GSA?
No, you.
Well, yeah, but let's put it this way. Like I say, I don't think, like I say, the story here is not about me and my personal life. It really isn't. I mean, you may be curious, but the story to me is I advise a group that I advise a group that is atypical. And like I say, I just, the one thing that I don't want this story to become is Mr. House coming out party. Because I don't think I mean, let's put it this way. I don't, it's a weird thing, because to say that the fact that I'm bisexual is no big deal is, I don't think that's really true. It is a big deal to me in terms of how I think about it and how I'm discovering it. And I'm not saying that gender identity issues and religion are the same thing, they're not, but it would be like saying to somebody that because they don't openly worship in the school that their religion is no big deal. That's of course ridiculous. I think what I would simply say is that in terms of how I do my job every day, in terms of what I think about when I walk into this building and what I think about when I go home, it doesn't matter, because that doesn't change anything. It's not like, like I say, I kind of realized, all right, I guess I'm bisexual, hello. It wasn't like, oh my God, my job is completely different, It really wasn't that way at all. In fact, I would say, if anything, it was completely the opposite, in terms of all of a sudden the reason that maybe I think about some things the way I do, and the reason that some things affect me more than others, is I think there's been let's put it this way, it's not like I've been living in denial for years or anything like that. It's just, there's certain little tics you have and you're like, gee whiz, I wonder why I have that. And then you just kind of keep moving. I think now I know I have a lot of the little tics that I do, and so it helps me connect the dots of who I am. And who I am is certainly what I do as a teacher, but it's not like I changed. And it's like I have always been intolerant of homophobic statements, racist statements, sexist statements in my classroom. And I am just so now. And I've got, I hate to say it, I've got a student who just, for some reason, he's just going to keep saying them until something happens. I don't know what the end game is for this person. but I wasn't, I don't know that they were directed at me or not. I don't think they were. But even when I thought they might be, it didn't change anything. I was just as disgusted and irate, and I control it. It's not like I snapped or anything, but that's what I feel inside. I was just as disgusted and irate when I thought it was directed at a group of people that I've decided that I want to help and support. I was just as offended then as I was when I realized it might have been directed at me. Somehow, in some weird way, if it was actually directed at me, it'd be easier. It's like, okay, he hates me, not an entire group of people. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't change anything. Not as far as my job goes and how I view what I do goes. And it shouldn't. You know, I know, like I say, I know, well, lots of very religious people, and it informs how they do their job. I mean, I don't find it any coincidence that the people in this building that I'm closest to and I think are the very best teachers are also some of the most devout people I've ever met. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's a function of who they are, and it's what makes them so wonderful. But it's not like I walk into Rayla Zumhoff's room and she's standing up there with a Bible in one hand and a cross in the other, you know. And I don't think anybody's going to walk into my room and find me standing there with a rainbow flag hanging off my back going, okay, everybody, let's study San Francisco all year. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Have you seen a change in kids or a group of kids on their thoughts or feelings of themselves? And if so, how has it impacted you?
That's an excellent question. I think it's hard for me to say that I've seen individual kids change simply because, you know, when you see, you know, in TV and the movies, students always have an epiphany.
Yeah.
And by the 43rd minute of the episode, oh my God, everything makes sense that did not make sense at 8 o'clock, which of course is just crap. And I'm not saying people don't have epiphanies, but I find that when they do, it's like this enormous leap forward, and then they spend a lot of time sliding back and then going. I mean, it's more of a gradual process. And so the kids that are part of the GSA that I'm closest to, I can't say that I recognize how they're different, because I think it's more that they change, that they change a little bit every day. It's like you know, looking at a glacier every day for 6 months, and somebody goes, so is it any further? I don't know. But I will say this: I sense that when I started teaching here 6 years ago, there were a handful of kids that would openly admit to you that they were gay, bisexual, or whatever. But they said it fairly quietly, and it wasn't like they were ashamed of it. It was just like, this is not something I need to say for everybody else to hear. I mean, it was just, you know, whatever. And now, kids talk openly about it. I mean, not like all the time, but what I'm saying is the kids that I'm most familiar with, they feel free to talk about it with each other. They feel free to talk about the context of their relationship with someone of the same gender in the same way that a guy talks about dumping his girlfriend. The fact that same-sex couples in this school, however you define coupling, it makes me crazy. I don't think anyone should date until they're 30. But anyway, I don't care what gender you are. No dating till 30. You hear me? But the fact that they're having the same discussions as everybody else, the fact that they're not different anymore. It's like, oh, I just broke up with my girlfriend. Oh, that sucks. And then you can have this discussion about, and it's not, I just broke up with my lesbian girlfriend. Oh, well, how is that different than breaking up with your heterosexual boyfriend? It's not. It's the same things. It's loss. It's you know, it's whatever's involved when high school relationships come to an end. You know, it doesn't seem to matter what the gender is on the other end. It still sucks. And that's what I've seen. That's the progress I've seen. That kids feel just open to talk about their lives and their feelings in the same context that everybody else does. So.
And how has it impacted you?
Oh, impacted me. Well, as I say, this is a very open school, and I guess I'd like to believe that I'm part of that. I mean, everybody knows that, you know, 3 days a year I run around town and address at the Iris Festival, and Boy, the first time I ever did it, I did it for the same reason that I dress up as a dog for Mutt Masters and I dress up as a tiger for pep assemblies, because I'm a goofball and I love to dress up. I mean, you know, some kids dream of growing up, you know, oh, I was locked overnight in a candy shop. Forget that. Lock me in a costume shop and come back in a week. I'll try everything on. And so that's why I did it the first time. I was like, okay, this will be fun. This will be a lark. And I look back now and I realize, okay, if I'm being really intellectually honest with myself, it's probably more than that. But at the time, that's really what it seemed to me to be. And I was stunned at the number of people that came up to me at the first Iris Festival that were parents of not just high school kids, but elementary school kids, and just saying, thank you for doing this. It was like they really thought I was out there kind of making a statement, and I don't know that I was, or if I don't even know I was making a statement. I think they just were like, thank you for feeling free to be you, and you know, you're like a role model for kids, and I still, I won't say I have a hard time with that, because I think all teachers are role models, and we're all role models in our own way, and we model things in the classroom that we want to see. And living, especially in a small town, we model things in our private lives that we hope kids will emulate. If you don't want to be a teacher that is a role model for kids in a small town, you might want to move to a big one. But I think the fact that part of my personality has always sort of been out there. I think kids have always sort of known that, you know, okay, he's cool about certain things. And, you know, I mean, I've got my Iris Goddess sash hanging on the wall up near my college diploma, which probably makes my college wonder about my sanity. But, you know, it's one more facet of my personality. I mean, that wall over there is the cheerleading squad I was on, the sash I won, my high school graduation picture, the story about me as the Easter Bunny. You know, it's sort of like my life on a scrapbook on a wall. And it's one piece of who I am. It's not all of who I am. But I think it's important for kids to know that that's one piece. And if that's a piece that they can find some consolation and some refuge in, then I'm okay with that, you know? So. Anything else? Okay. I think we're good. And I know you've got to get going.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. You may need to approach Scott, because tomorrow, obviously, I'm not scheduled anyway because I have school, but I've got to start helping 6th period down in the art room, so I'm not sure what he wants to do about that.
Well, turn that off. I mean, we're done recording, right? I mean, I don't care if it's on film, just say we don't need it. Well, two things. I mean, if you can get here right at the beginning of 5th period, there haven't been.
As soon as they cover.
I know, and I'll go talk to him, and I'll just say, Scott, look, and this is